Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today we're back with another random destruction. It was going to be an IS-3 review today, but I've been working on a couple of reviews today, and unfortunately through one thing or another didn't get either of them finished, so the IS-3 review will be tomorrow. So we're starting off with a Panther 88 review from a Panther 88 replay from a couple of days ago. Quick rundown of the Panther 88. It's basically a fully upgraded Panther, but at tier 8, so it's tier higher, with the long 88 from the Panther 2. But it does have the stock engine, so it's only 600 horsepower. But it's 203mm of pen with 240 damage, 8.7 rounds a minute. Very accurate at 0.32. And quite a long aiming time though, at 2.5 seconds. 80mm of armour on the front, 50 on the sides, 40 on the rear, and the turret is 120 on the front, 60 on the sides and the rear. We're on Swamp. It's an assault and we're on the attack. Right, so while I'm doing my thing, let's talk about the Monster Tank's Awakened special abilities, because they've announced them. And this is directly from the World of Tanks console website. So the T-71 Lycan Awakened, huge improvements to speed, handling, accuracy and rate of fire when at full clip, so I'm assuming when your clip's full. Invulnerable to falling damage. I've left my phone on again. And once its ammo clip is empty, it returns to its normal form where it is more vulnerable. Now, it's not particularly clear, but I'm assuming that when you're fully reloaded again, you will obviously have the improvements to speed, handling, accuracy, etc. until your clip's empty, and then you go back to normal while you reload. Now, the Gorinich KV-5 spits powerful fireballs dealing high explosive damage, can ignite nearby enemies with its fire breath, and slowly regenerates HP over time. And then you've got the Revenant's Craft Panther, which takes greatly reduced damage everywhere except its turret, does not reveal its position when spotted, and can blend in with tank wreckage, and it moves slower than usual but also nearly impossible to track, so it basically becomes a zombie. And then you've got the Kaiju, which shoots lightning quick electric bolts, quickly repairs damage modules, it's immune to fire breath and atomic breath that causes heavy damage to enemies nearby. Now, that does sound like it's going to be quite good fun. Now, during that Halloween weekend, the Monster Mash, the Monster Tanks will be limited to the Monster Mash sort of event and map that goes along with it. And the Spectre is also coming on for everybody. All you've got to do is log into your garage. It's a tier 6 tank, Russian I think, and when the op's over you gain their crew. Now, the other thing that's mentioned in here is something about the crews that actually came with the Monster Tanks. So if anybody has moved them into another tank, you'll be wanting to put them back into the actual Monster Tank for the op. It says you can also bring your monster tank crews into the mix, meaning that you'll be that much more effective in the nocturnal battle. So I'm assuming that your tanks will be better if they've got the original crews in them. Basically that's what that sounds like. And there's also 2 new PvE modes, Beware the Full Moon and Hunt the Revenants. Basically Beware the Full Moon on Himmelsdorf. Apparently it's filled with Lycans and you've got to track them all down, so it's going to be a bit like the Hammer Op or the Motherland PvE op, if people remember that one. It does say it'll be difficult, so low tier tanks may have difficulty and running out of ammo is to be expected, but you've basically got to hunt down Lycan T-71s on Himmelsdorf, and for the other one you've got to hunt down zombie Revenant Crafts Panthers, and that's on Thiepval Ridge, so sounds like it's going to be a fun weekend. Anyway, back to the match, which is not far from over. I've dipped a couple of shots here and there, just like that one. Yes, not some of my best tanking, but I did manage to finish off the Hellcat. It wasn't turning out to be a particularly good round, this one at first, but it picks up a bit and I do a fair bit of damage and get quite a nice amount of credits and XP from it, so it's not too savage. Now I was going to zip straight across, but then that tiger popped up on my right flank, so stop, put a couple of shots into him and finish him off. And now there's 4 tanks remaining, RT, 2 mediums and a tank destroyer. So I'm going to move in. Normally you really want to keep this at sort of medium to long range. It's a very good support sort of sniper tank. I'm going to just put a nice one into the side of that poor old Sherman and then just finish him off. Oh, we've got an STA-2 up there. A premium Japanese tier 8 medium. So yeah, I took a hit and he's damaged my engine. I can't have that, the engine's terrible on this as it is anyway. But this is not a particularly good situation to be in. It's not a brawling tank by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it's got the rate of fire, but it's really not got the armour. And he's trying to side scrape because he really doesn't have much armour either, and I'm trying to side scrape and it's quite comedic. But I managed to bounce his shot and I get one into him in return, but then he just comes around the corner and I think he's going to try and use his manoeuvrability to sort of out-brawl me, because it is much more manoeuvrable than this. And I think, nope, not a position I want to be in, so I'm going to back off down the hill. And luckily I managed to set him on fire, but he manages to put it out, and just a little nudge is all it takes. Well, not a nudge with my tank, a nudge with a high velocity shell, but it's still all it took. Not too savage. Nice amount of credits, 112, and that's why I like the Panther 88. 3,403 damage done. Came out of it with a high caliber and a first class mastery and just under 5,000 XP, so that's quite a nice round. I'm happy with that, definitely. And it's always nice to come top of the table as well. Just 1 kill off that top gun. Oh, I didn't notice that when I did it, when I actually did that match. That's a little bit disappointing, but you can't have everything. It was a decent match at the end of the day, and like I say, I'm definitely happy with that. So, sticking with the Germans for the second replay, we're in the JPanther Tier 7 German tank destroyer. It's on the new map, Heilbronn, and I've been on this a few more times now, and I'm actually starting to quite like this map. It does have a bit of everything for sort of every tank, even lights actually. Although I've not been on it in a light tank yet, but I've seen a good few sort of places that I could go. Anyway, I've got my JPanther fully upgraded with a 105mm gun, with 200mm penetration and 320 damage. Well, average damage. 7.32 rounds a minute. Not bad accuracy at 0.34, but certainly not the best. But a decent aiming time, definitely at 1.7 seconds. It does 55 kilometers an hour, so it's quite nippy, with an 870 horsepower engine. And it's got 80mm of armour on the front, 50 on the sides, and 40 on the rear. And the hull traverse isn't too bad actually, at 32 degrees, it's quite acceptable. Definitely. Now, when you're top tiering one of these things, it's not got great gun depression, but if you can find somewhere where you can put its limited gun depression to use, it really accentuates the frontal angle of this, and you can bounce quite a lot of shots when you're top tier. And when you are top tier, especially when you're coming up against, you know, those matches where you don't get them very often, or I don't seem to get them very often, where I might be in this in a tier 7, and you know there's 3 or 4 tier 7s a team, 3 or 4 tier 6s, and tier 5s. Well, the tier 5s, even without the extra angling, you can bounce quite a lot of shots off the front of this. And even some of the tier 6s with a bit of angling, you sort of take your shot and angle slightly. Definitely at medium range. Don't rely on it, obviously, but when you're top tier, you can afford to be quite aggressive in this, as long as you're not coming up against sort of same tier heavies and some of the same tier mediums that could sort of run rings around you and definitely have enough punch to get through your frontal armour. Oh, there's the enemy JPanther. But a good shot through, damages ammo rack, but it's not enough to kill him outright. But I am getting some nice spotting damage from this as well. Put another hit through him, not quite enough to finish him off. And it looked like artillery finished him there. SU-152, nice one through the front, and I don't think I've been spotted yet either. For a big tank, The camo rating's not too savage. Mind you, it was a Russian tank destroyer and they are all blind. Don't manage to do anything to the T-29 apart from damage his tracks a bit. Somebody else has tracked him. And that just seemed to dip down and hit the floor. Not quite sure. And again, I'm not quite sure where that one went, but it certainly seemed to dip down quite a bit. That one went in though. And that was a slightly high roll at 344. Now, I don't tend to put that many JPanther replays up, and it's the same with my SU-100 M1, is it? Or the SU-100M? The other tier 7 Russian tank destroyer, not the SU-152. And it's just that I find, you know, this sort of gameplay, I don't know if you guys find it entertaining or not, but it's pretty much camp de bush for a little bit, and then I move in and get a bit more aggressive. But I think I'd had a bad couple of games this day in it. I'd decided to make, not a push, but just get a bit of XP built up on it, and I'd had a bad couple of games being aggressive as a top tier, so I thought I'd play a bit more cautiously this round. And I managed to take out the enemy E25 there, sneaky little bugger. Yeah, and this is where I think I've pretty much exhausted that position. And I'm going to have to get in there a bit more. And either relocate to another sniping position, or just basically get in there a bit. So, there's a bit of a fight going on over there, but I'm going to get up here, pop around this corner and try and finish off the Stug. And I'm expecting to probably take a hit just as I get around the corner, but somebody else takes him out anyway, so I don't have to. So swing it around and see if I can help out against this T-29. I don't know what position he's in, but if he's hull down, he's going to be very, very tough to crack. But if I've got him at two sides, it shouldn't be too savage. Yep, I've got his flank. Waiting for him to come back and just put one through the side of his turret. Now I want to say there's an ammo rack in the back of the turret, but I can't quite remember, because I've been looking at the T-32 today, and I know that one definitely has, and I can't remember if the T-29 does, or if I'm getting confused. But it's a moot point now, because I completely missed it, even if it was there, and he's dead, so it doesn't matter. Right, 2 enemy heavies and arty remaining, and I'm going on an arty hunt. I know one of the enemy heavies is down in J2. I'm not sure where the other one is though. And I don't think I've checked to see what it is. Right, there's RT. Can't quite get him from here. There he is. Oh, that was a high roll, but still not quite enough to finish him off in one. And I just donked that one because he disappears behind a rock. Oh, and there's the other enemy heavy. It's an OI. Now, they've got 150 mil of armour on the front. I've got 200 mil of penetration. And if I'm going for the flat bit, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem to get through. In fact, the turret's got lots of flat surfaces on it. And that's only 150 as well, although that one did bounce. And I must admit, I was expecting to get penned in return, which is why I keep popping back and forward and trying to use as much of this cover as I can. And that one went, I don't know. I don't know what happened to that one. See, I'm going for that front corner, and there's an ammo rack right behind it. Now, like I say, I'm expecting to get penned here. And I think he's bounced once or twice, or he does bounce once or twice. I might be getting ahead of myself slightly. No, he must have already bounced, because I've just killed him. And that's the match. Not a bad little win, although I think I got some of that money from an op. Yes, I did, but first class mastery in a high caliber. Not much else from it though, but over 4,100 damage done, which I'm quite happy with. I don't go in the JPanther particularly often, but I do like it. I do like it a lot, actually. Definitely prefer it to the Nashorn. I know it's the Störe meal at tier 7, but I've not tried that one yet. But I just wasn't keen on that whole line, to be honest. I don't know, I might give it another try at some point, but I just found the Death Toaster, I don't know, really didn't like that one. The Nashorn I thought was alright, but I've not tried the Störe meal and I've stopped going down that line now. I might have to try and get back to it at some point and give it another chance. Anyway, last match, I'm in the IS-3. Like I said, I've been working on the IS-3 review today, so I thought to bring you one of those replays today, and I've got another 2 or 3 for tomorrow, although I might try and see if I can get something a bit better than one of them. But I've got it fully upgraded with the BL9 gun on this. It does have that weak spot just behind it on the front of the turret, which you do have to be careful of. But we've got 225mm of penetration and 390 damage on your gun, 4.5 rounds a minute, accuracy is 0.4 and a horrible aiming time at 3.4 seconds. 110mm of armour on the front, 90 on the sides, 60 on the rear, and the turret is 249, 172, 100, and that's front, sides and rear. Now I've been playing the 110 a lot recently, and I am starting to prefer it. The gun has 70 less alpha damage, has 10 less penetration on its standard rounds, but it has a rate of fire, I think it's 6 or just over 6, and it's got a better accuracy and a better aiming time as well. It's got 10mm more armour on the front of the hull, but less on the front of the turret, but it doesn't have that weak spot just behind the gun. And the pike nose is a lot more angled, and I've found I can get away with a lot more in the 110. It'll bounce a lot more shots seemingly than the IS-3 will. And it has affected some of my IS-3 gameplay, to be honest, because I've been putting myself in situations where the 110 could bounce it from the hull and the IS-3 didn't, so I got myself into a spot of bother. But I was trying to back up to get that light tank that's buzzing round, and I just get a lock on, and his tracks eat it. Would you believe it? 225mm of penetration, and his tracks eat it. Wonderful. Anyway, back to here, and I've now got 3 tanks shooting back at me. This is CDC, which was there before. I've got a Firefly that's joined him. I'm going to go for the CDC, I think. Just sit still. There we go. Well, I've been penned. Now, something I do have trouble with me being colourblind, is I'm not entirely sure when people are shooting standard ammunition or APCR at me. I do have trouble seeing that sometimes. So that's why I don't sort of mention it, you know, when people just start spamming gold at me. It's because I can't really tell. But anyway, Tiger 2 down there, I've got a tricky shot through there, and I poorly aimed it, but it went slightly wide and hit him, which was lucky. And he bounces, and somebody else finishes him before I can reload. So, it looks like most of the enemy tanks that have come to the town have either backed off or died, which is not too bad, so we can make a bit more of a push through the town. I managed to finish off that tank destroyer. I didn't even see what it was. And I'm just wondering which way to go out the other side of the town, because I have a feeling, and there's T25/2, but yeah, I've got a feeling that this approach is probably going to be covered. Now finish off the T25/2. I think that happens a couple of times in this round, where I just get there in time to put the last shot in. No, we've got a hammer moving across. Where is he? Come on, and oh, it would do. I've obviously not sent enough dissidents to the gulag, as that whizzed past the back of his turret. Right, that CDC that was in the town has backed off, and he's over that way. That one didn't miss though. Now let's have a look. I've got to keep an eye on that CDC, because he could run rings around me, literally. But I can get one in the back of that T43. That's made him shift. And here comes the CDC. But there's me around this side of the building, and we've got a bit of backup. And the Tiger takes him out. Right, the Valley though is not looking too clever. And now we've got an OI to deal with. But it shouldn't, I'm going to say it shouldn't be any problem for this gun. When it hits, yeah, something like that is going to pen it. It's just if it hits. I do like the IS-3, but its gun can be very trolly at times. And other times it just trolls the people you're against and hits them every time if you're not fully aimed. Right. It's looking quite good in our favour. It's 11-7. However, I had a match like this the other day, and I think it was even better odds in our favour, and we got capped out. And I was in something too slow to get back to do anything about it. Which was absolutely gutting. Because up to that point, I think I've been having quite a good game. Alright, the T-43 is dealt with, so there's just the OI left, and of course it donks straight into his gun and does no damage whatsoever. So I'm going for that ammo rack position again on the corners, and just clip off the last bit of health instead. I mean, if you've got those things from the side, and I think the OI Experimental is the same, basically that top bit above the tracks, the front part is ammo rack, the back part is engine. So if you hit them anywhere in there, there's a good chance that if you do critical damage, it's either going to be the ammo rack or the engine. So it's one of the best places to go for. And from the front, that corner bit, and fingers crossed, you can damage the ammo rack, or if you do enough damage, actually take it out altogether. But there you go. Not a bad round, not the best, but definitely not the worst. Got a high caliber, just over 3,000 damage done and 1,200 blocked. It was a bit of a iffy round, but I've been having a bit of an iffy day, just feeling a bit under the weather. Didn't sleep very well last night, very tired, and as you guys know, playing this game when you're very tired can sometimes have very bad results. But I came top of the table, which I was very happy with, because I had a bit of a losing streak with the IS-3 today, and like I say, it's because I've been playing the 110 and getting away with a bit more. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll see you tomorrow with the IS-3. As always, take care out there, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.